Alright, Shalom. I want to start off by giving as always, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Chachadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to all you Arkim who are pushing this word around the globe in faith and in truth and in sincerity. We are the real Hebrew Israelites. The real Israelites, these so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians and West Africans, so on and so forth. We are the true descendants of the man in the Bible who was named Israel. Therefore, we are the true Israelites. But this also applies to anybody who may look like any of the other nations. But if this word resonates with you, your spirit, and you believe in it in faith and in truth and in sincerity, then you too might be an Israelite, because Israel has been scattered amongst all nations. So therefore, we're going to look like all peoples right now. The scriptures say that Israel is a speckled bird, meaning that you're going to get people who might not look like so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Hispanics, who are actually Israelites, because your nationality is determined by who your father was, not by the colour of your skin. This is all about seed line, pertaining to Numbers 1 and 18. So if you'd like to learn more about the 12 tribes, you can just Google GMS 12 tribe sign. But I'm going to get into today's lesson. So in today's lesson, I want to talk about this film that just came out, Rambo Last Blood. I went to watch it last night. I mean, I'm a fan of the Rambo films anyway, so I thought it was pretty cool. But I saw some things in the film which were quite spiritual, so I thought I should do a lesson on it. And basically, the subject I'm going to talk about is women, and how that when this society falls apart, women are going to catch hell, basically. Because at the moment, in Esau's system, women are very much sheltered and protected by the system that's currently in place. The police are there, so if anything happens to a woman, she can just scream, and 9 times out of 10 people will rush to her aid, because that's how it is in this society right now. But the point I'm going to make is that when society starts to break down, and the law isn't really there to protect any people anymore, it's gonna go back to more ancient times when women were prey. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but basically women aren't going to be able to defend themselves, and they're going to be at the mercy of whichever men round them up or whatever, for whatever purposes they please. Now, in this film Rambo, this touched upon the topic I'm talking about, because I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but basically, I should say spoiler alert, just in case I do say something that's, plot point that spoils it. But the general premise of the film is that Rambo's living on his ranch that he inherited, and he's there with some I think is his caretaker and a granddaughter or whatever, although she calls him Uncle John. But I should just make a point, actually. The character Rambo, the character is actually supposed to be a Jake, if I'm not mistaken, because I think in the second film it says that he is of Indian and German descent, Indian meaning Native American. So, and in the scriptures it's kind of spiritual, because it said that, Gad is a troop. So the Gadites were, men of war. And obviously he employs a lot of those war tactics, obviously using the iconic bow and arrow and stuff like that. So, the character of Rambo is a Jake, but that's just the character. And obviously Sylvester Stallone is probably a Jake too, although he's, probably a 2/3. But, Stallone's got a spirit on him anyway. A spirit of, he's not some stiff Edomite, But anyway, the point is, he's living on this ranch with his, I don't know if it's his real family or his, sort of adopted family, but he's carrying after this young girl, and she travels down to Mexico to find her real father. And while she's in Mexico, she ends up getting kidnapped by one of the cartels out there, and they sell her into basically to be a sex slave. Now that's the whole point, because in that film it shows how the women are treated when they become those sex slaves, and the women were all terrified to run away, because the guys who were over them were saying, if you try and run away, we'll kill you. If you do this, we'll kill you. And the women were standing there in a line, like shivering and looking rough as hell, and they were terrified. And that's basically what's going to happen to a lot of you women out here who think that you're on an equal footing with a man, because I've got some bad news for you. You're not. Women aren't equal to men. They are in multiple ways. They're not equal to men, even in terms of just biology. Men reproduce semen throughout their whole life, but women only produce ovaries for a portion of their life. Like, there's a window where they can conceive children, whereas a man can conceive a child at any age. And I heard it's been said that it would only take 30 men to repopulate the entire earth. I heard that statistic. I'm going to have to look it up, so it's lucky if it's not true. But I have heard that before, that, because men can, like, for example, a woman can only be pregnant once, but a man can get multiple women pregnant in one day. So just on that aspect alone, women are biologically more precious than women. I know people are going to take offense at that, but I'm just telling it as it is. So the point is that this girl that Rambo was caring for ends up becoming sold into, the sex slave trade. And there's an interesting point that was made in the film where the woman who was sort of like the overseer of the younger women who were kind of newer, she was saying, you have to do what you're told. If you do what you're told, everything will be okay. And she says something to the effect of, if you have to sleep with 50 to 60 men in one day, just deal with it. So, I mean, just imagine that these women are sleeping with, Salakia, these women are sleeping with 50 to 60 men in one day alone. Now, that's obviously adultery, because a woman is only supposed to have one husband according to the scriptures. The only time a woman can remarry is when her husband dies, according to the scriptures. And also, a man can have multiple wives, but that's obviously frowned upon in this society, because obviously Esau puts that law out there that a man can only have one wife because he's trying to keep the population down. But that's going into other things. Let me get some scriptures, because I think I've been talking enough. Let me bring some edification into this. So this is Isaiah 13 and 16, because the times that we're coming into, uproars of the people, Jacob's trouble, martial law, all that kind of stuff. This is when these women are going to find out that they're just women, and that they without a man, they're going to be catching hell, without a man that can protect them. So Isaiah 13 and 16, let me start from Isaiah 13 and 12, going on to the point I was just making. It says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Now that's talking about a man of the Lord. Let me start up a bit more, because there's some beautiful edification here. So Isaiah 13 and 11 states that I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. And that's two things that these women in this society are. They're both proud, and they're both haughty. Verse 12 says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even the man than the golden wedge of Ophir. And therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, in the wrath of Yahweh of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up, and then shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land. And sorry, Salakia, let me pull this up on the screen so people can read along. I was reading Isaiah 13 and 16. Yeah, so here we go. Let me start from verse 12 again, saying that over. This is Isaiah 13 and 12. And I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Therefore will I shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, in the wrath of Yahweh of hosts, in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man return to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land. So basically you're going to get people going back to their own people, and you're not going to have these mixing anymore. You're going to have people aligning themselves with their own peoples, yeah? And it says in verse 15, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Here's the point. And their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. See? So basically, you women are going to be ravished by, these wild men that are going to be out here.
And it shall be as the chaste roe, and as a sheep that no man tacketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people.
That's the Satan there, man. So it's like, it's auto playing the text there. You women are going to be a praying those days, yeah? Let me get Micah chapter 7 and verse 10. Keep this moving. This is one of my favourite scriptures in the whole Bible. Micah chapter 7 and verse 10 says, Then she that is mine enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her which said unto me, Where is Yahweh thy power? My eyes shall behold her, now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets. And that means that these women who think that there's something special out here, and they think that they are on an equal footing with a man, then they're going to see the tribulation and the trouble that's coming, and they're going to be trodden down as the mire of the streets. Mire meaning shit, yeah? So you're going to be put into a very, very low estate. Here's Isaiah 4 and 1. Because when you women, when you haven't got your flipping your benefits and perks that you get in this system, in society, it's going to be hell for you. You're going to be going for days, maybe even weeks without eating proper food, not being able to wash. You're not going to have your cosmetics like your makeup and your perfumes and shit. You probably won't even have tampons. You're just going to be walking around or looking all messed up, probably blood dripping down your legs, blood stains on your legs from your period and stuff. That's the state you're going to be in. And you're going to be like, there's just going to be sheer terror out here for you. You might get rounded up like this woman did in this Rambo film. You might get, end up being made to be a sex slave, or you might even end up being murdered and eaten, because people are going to be, it's going to be great famine out here, and people are going to be looking to eat whatever the hell they can. So cannibalism is going to be back on the table for all the wicked out here. Obviously, as men of the Lord, and of the hopeful elect, our Israelites know that cannibalism is off. But the scriptures say, "My servants shall eat, but the rest shall be hungry." Roughly paraphrasing. So the Lord's going to provide food for the men of the Lord in that day. He could do it any kind of way. He might make manna fall from heaven like he did when he was in the wilderness, or he might get ravens to bring us food like he did with, is it the prophet? So I can't remember which prophet it was, but I'm not sure if it was Ezekiel who the Lord got the ravens to bring him food, but he did that to one of them. Anyway, so let me get Isaiah 4 and 1. Keep this moving. This says, And in that day 7 women shall take up hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So basically, in that day, women are going to be begging for a man of the Lord to take her with us, because we'll be able to protect them. So they're going to be begging. Now, how does a woman take on a man's name? She takes on a man's name by becoming his wife, meaning that these women are going to be begging us men of the Lord to, make them our wives, to have sex with them and stuff. They're going to be begging for it. So all I can say is, man, being a man of the Lord and of the hopeful elect, you don't have to worry about women in this time, because the Lord has promised us these things are going to happen, and if we have faith, there's no need to be getting like all bent out of shape about women in this current society, because the women in this current society are completely out of order, and they're not going to get into order until they see the power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. It's just not in a woman's spirit to be righteous, which is exactly what King Solomon said in Ecclesiastes. He says, 1 man among 1,000 I have found, but no women I have found that are righteous. Roughly paraphrasing Slakia, if I'm not saying it verbatim, but that's roughly what the scripture goes into. So let me get another precept. Isaiah 32 and 10 could be good. Yeah, Isaiah 32 and 10, it says, let me start from verse 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Now that's exactly what you women in this society are in. You're in a state of ease. You're comfortable here in Babylon the Great. You don't want to see this place go down. You're loving it. But the scriptures say in Isaiah 32 and 9, Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail and the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall... Yeah, I can leave that there. But Zechariah 14 and 1 is another good one. This says, Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and the spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather together all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. That means you women are going to be getting raped, yeah? And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in battle, yeah? So basically, Yahweh Shai is going to come back and deliver us from, these troubles. He's going to deliver his elect, the 1/3 and the 144,000 men. So, I think I've made this lesson. I've got to the points. But, that Rambo film was pretty decent, man. I mean, I'm a fan of the series anyway. I've always been a fan of the Rambo films. But, it showed a couple of interesting things. As I said, it showed the how you women are going to be in the day of Jacob's trouble and the martial law. How you women are going to be looking. You're going to be looking messed up, man. You're going to be looking all kinds of messed up and crazy, man. But it also showed, the wickedness of Issachar, which is you so-called Mexicans, how it goes down out there. I mean, personally, I've been to Mexico myself, and when I was out there, man, I could tell that the fear of the Lord wasn't in that place. The fear of the Lord wasn't in that place. But that's another testimony for another time. It's a decent film. I recommend checking it out. And that's all I've got to say. So with that, giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Chachadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. And a sincere shalom to all you Akim who are pushing this word around the globe in faith and in truth and in sincerity. And until the next time I'm able to do a lesson, Lord willing, I say shalom and aboard the ball. Kwam Yashua Allah.